So, when Galileo took on the church, it was the church's lack of understanding of the complexities of their own dogma that made them unable to defend the higher order worldview from, in a sense, the ravages of a more simplistic science. And so there is this odd dualism, there is this strange irony in that the ascended masters that authored their dogma, that authored the Bible, were not able to articulate their better worldview in a way that was clear enough and precise enough that it would be moved forth into the future, that it would be understood by future generations who could teach it. And so there's an inherent flaw in science that is, in a sense, a terrible, terrible catastrophe for our cultural, for our spiritual evolution. The concept of the king of the stars, the concept of the heavens, the concept of the heavenly host, the concept of the Eucharist, the concept of Ezekiel's Merkaba light vehicle has been completely washed out of what Christianity means. And so there needs to be a reckoning for this mistake. And it's my suspicion that there were secret schools of the time who had seen what was happening with the church, who had seen that the dogma was not measuring up to the karma, and that the understanding between the text and what the text was prescribing in the way of ritualistic methods to understand, to experience the ascension, to experience the truth of the heavenly host, to understand that the earth was not created in 7 days, that the word day, was used because it was available. The word day does not describe what was meant when that text was written. 2,800 years, 2,800 years before Christ, the Chinese classical text, the I-Ching, was written. That's almost 5,000 years ago. And in this ancient oracle, there is a reference to this very same information, to this very same knowledge about the way spirit moves, about the way the universe is created. And not created in the sense that it was made in a certain amount of time, but how it is created from moment to moment, how it is created in the now. And this creation is about stages. It's not about days. Day was a good metaphor because the day is a sort of stage. But the real word is movement inside of movement. There is movement that happens underneath of the movement that brings about the creation of our universe in the moment. And so, to translate this, to properly articulate, you can refer all the way back to the I-Ching. Chapter 24, or hexagram 24 of I-Ching. A movement is accomplished in 6 stages, and the 7th brings return. The 7 is the number of the young light. It forms when darkness is increased by 1. Now, this is 4,800 years old. And the translation that made it into the King James Version of the Bible, in the beginning there was void, and the Spirit of God moved upon the dark waters, and there was light. And so was created the world in 7 days, is ridiculous when it is interpreted literally. When it is interpreted with the literalist interpretation that God had created, that the universe has already been created. No, creation is a continuous process. Creation is the now as then, as above, so below. This is ancient wisdom. And the reason that the atheist movement is getting so much steam is a reaction. It is this same energy turned back around from these radicals who are jumping to conclusions, dangerous conclusions, about the nature of the Bible and what the Bible means. Their interpretation is dangerous because it is so literal and disrespects the intent and the understanding of the author. And so we have all of this strife, and less perhaps in the United Kingdom, not New Zealand and Australia, than in the United States. These people who take this literalist interpretation have become very dangerous, and they seem intent on believing something. They must believe something. I don't believe. I don't know. I don't think I know. I don't know whether the universe was actually created or not. I don't know if I believe that there is an external creator or that we create the universe. It seems like we all have a hand in it, but I don't know for sure, and I can tell you exactly why I don't know. And so to see these people who are bent, seem to be bent on believing something, acting the way they do, it seems to me that it might be best that they believe that there is no God, which would possibly make them robots. I mean, if they're going to be dangerous anyway, why not have them dangerous to a lesser extent? Because anyone that goes into the Bible and starts taking the word of God literally, in the context that the word of God does not include every word, is missing the whole point, the whole intention of the authors of that book, in my opinion. I don't consider myself qualified to read the whole thing. I understand this interpretation because of all the things that I see around the Bible, all the things that I hear people saying about the Bible that I call into question. I go in and I look, and what they seem to be on about is so incredibly ridiculous that it puts me in alarm. It puts me in alarm mode. And so I don't want to encourage the atheist movement. I think that, ironically, the atheist movement is kind of headquartered in the United Kingdom these days, and I think that Richard Dawkins is brilliant. And his book, The God Delusion, I don't necessarily agree with. But that's perhaps a better way to confront people who are ignorant, people who are not educated, people who are being coerced and manipulated, or who just by vicarious emergence are fostering and perpetuating these dangerous ideas which are associated with the literal interpretation of the Bible.